What got you guys into real estate?
So my dad fired me.
That's crazy.
Yeah. If I had any amount of resources, I would have probably came here today in my helicopter. I mean,
He does close deals, and I really don't know how he does it.
That's the
I've
thing.
watched him do it, and I'm like, you did everything wrong, and you still got it.
I would prefer to be paraplegic. Can you cut off my arms? No doctor in America would be like, absolutely, sir, right this way.
Yo, you see that they found the cube on Mars, like a giant fucking square?
Are you sure you weren't just watching Transformers? Because
No,
they have a
so-
square in that too.
No, bro, it's
They have
literally
the
like
cube.
Everyone's got each.
Oh yeah. How was your day? I go
$73,000. I figured out early on that nobody's equal. There's no 50-50 down the line.
That makes so much sense.
The egalitarian household has ruined relationships, ruined families, and ruined children. And it needs to come to a complete end.
Wait, what kind of household?
Egalitarian, like
that?
people trying to be equal. Men and women trying to be equal. Men and women should not be try to be equal in any capacity. They are way different. And you should utilize those differences to your advantage. But
That's true. People don't do it.
the man should be the leader of the household
Yeah.
and the protector and the provider. 100%.
There you go. You just went viral off of that for all the wrong reasons.
Yo, Faz, you're getting canceled and everyone hates us. They're like, yo, fuck these guys.
No, we're safe to talk about everything now.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah,
It's recording
perfect.
now, and we can, yeah.
I don't care if you put that out there. I will defend it to my death.
Perfect.
I
Staying
mean-
on that topic, what do you see? Because I mean, as busy people like contributing to America, what do you see some of like the hidden agendas, or how do you see some of the hidden agendas being pushed on the kids?
It's in the schools like crazy. It's in the colleges like crazy. I mean, maybe even like playing off of what you said, pushing like the gender equality roles too much instead of like focusing on what men do really well and what women do really well. And everybody's trying to compete to do the opposite role, and we're just not designed to do those things.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of my biggest fears with my daughter is sending her to schools in Connecticut that brainwash her into believing she could actually change her gender, which is the most ridiculous notion on earth, that you could change your gender just by saying your gender is changed. So,
Really? And they tell kids that in school?
yeah, there's a lot of schools where they actually do it. So as a matter of fact, one of my buddies works for the state of Connecticut technical high schools. And I think it was last year or the year before, they are actually mandated to install tampon machines in at least one men's bathroom in all public state buildings. So
Damn.
there was a bunch of kids, I think at Brookfield or Bethel, who actually got suspended, a bunch of high schoolers, because they tampered with the tampon machine. They thought it was funny. And it's like, I can remember me in high school. If they put a tampon machine in my bathroom in high school, that thing wouldn't have lasted long.
Yeah.
And they like expelled these kids. It was ridiculous. And it's the unfortunate part is it doesn't actually help. It's all a lie. And the statistics actually show that like gender affirming care, actually there's higher rates of suicide with it. They'll never talk about it. It's absurd. And I think it's ridiculous. Like there's nothing wrong with being a feminine male. There's nothing wrong with being a masculine female. Why can't we just leave it at that? That's it. Like just be a masculine female or be a feminine man. I mean, Leslie's a feminine man. Look at his hair.
I thought Leslie had the most test in the room, honestly. Like, it's just keep going.
This guy walked in with a
No,
deer
this
skin
grows
over
with
him.
estrogen.
It goes with something, whatever works for you. That was good.
Damn.
If it suits your face.
What do you
Yeah.
what do you do to combat that as a parent?
Homeschooling.
Homeschooling,
But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people shifting to that. But, my daughter's 2.5, so not much yet. But obviously, what we do right now, the only thing we can really do is we kind of steer her away from, especially media. Like there's a lot of child media geared towards desensitizing kids to stereotypical gender roles. But there's nothing wrong with a lot of those stereotypical quote unquote gender roles were in place for a reason, and they actually make a lot of sense. And when you deviate from them, you're violating laws of nature, and it typically ends to misery. You know, so like the Gen Zers are like the most depressed generation, the most suicidal generation, the least productive generation. And so all this psychological coddling that they've done for the last 30, 40 years obviously didn't work, but for whatever reason, nobody wants to turn it around and say, listen, this doesn't work. We need to go back the other direction. If you look at older generations, they're much more content, fulfilled. They have better relationships with everyone, family, friends, and they're overall happier. So we're going to steer her in that direction. And honestly, it's going to be a challenge. So she's still young.
That's what it is. I saw my theory. I watched this thing, and a lot of it's, if you notice, like the Democratic or more liberal agenda is ones that are pushing on the kids, right, and everything, putting in the schools and all that. And what it really leads down to is like all these, like, especially Biden, Kamala, no one actually cares about these trans movements, the LGBTQ community. They don't actually care. All it is it's just like a political umbrella, right? Because they make more money. Because, you know, there's people who are liberal, they're the ones who buy the vaccines. They're the ones who follow the mask mandates. They're the ones who do all this shit. So if you push that liberal agenda and you're like, yeah, we're for it. Yeah, we love that. Who makes all the money? Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, all these huge companies, they make billions a year. So their bottom line just added $100 billion in revenue, because all of a sudden now all these like LGBTQs and liberals are like, yes, we need 3 fucking COVID vaccines a month. We need all these things. Bro, their bottom line just went up $100 billion. So of course they're gonna push these products. They're gonna be like, yes, we love the LGBT community. They don't give a fuck about these people. Yeah. And they're too dumb to realize that. They think that these people care. Oh, they're so nice. The big orange man's not gonna be mean to us. He's not gonna bully us. In reality, they're worse. They're worse because they're pushing products on you. But then no one says it. Then when Trump says it, everyone's like, oh, he's a bully. How could he say that? Bro, since Trump got in office, we have saved $250 billion. We have Russia. Now we're meeting with fucking Putin and like talking about trading oil and all this type of shit. So that relationship's getting restored. Let's see what else can I go about. My brain is fried, but there's just a lot of good things going on.
And there's already hundreds of lawsuits out against him.
Of course,
to stop what he's doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, honestly, what he's doing is great. And I mean, we were just talking about it, that the governor in Maine or whatever, going after him. Everyone is going after him because they want to spend all this money,
of course,
on frivolous things.
Yeah, things, softies. That's all we are. We're a bunch of softies.
I was very excited the other day to hear that the IRS is on the table.
Do it and was like, oh, I put $500 into it. It's worth $520, and it's well, what if I had 5,000 in it? What if I had 50,000 in it? So that was my first kind of like start in investing. Mm-hmm. Did a little bit with the stock market.
When was this?
I would have been 18 years old.
18? 2018, 2019?
This is going back pretty far now. I don't remember. I'm 29 now, so we're talking 10 years ago.
You're 29?
Oh.
29.
That's crazy. I thought you were like 26.
No, I wish.
Damn.
Not anymore.
I feel like you told me that too, and I forget.
Maybe I told you I was 26 when I was 26.
Can you believe
Fair.
you're one of the old ones?
I know.
Getting there, almost 30.
Happened too quick.
Happens, man.
Yeah, 30's coming like a freight train.
When's your birthday?
July 26th.
Oh man, happy birthday.
It's on the way.
My mom's
Don't
30th.
forget it. Now it's on the podcast.
I know. I'm not. My mom's the 30th, so I will remember. So I have to remember a week before for hers. Get her a gift.
But yeah, and just learning how to invest in the stock market. You end up finding some guru that's trying to sell you a course on how to do real estate. I think really like Grant Cardone was one of the first people that I saw doing it. And everybody's read Robert Kiyosaki's books and whatnot.
Of course, yeah.
So
What was your
I
job
wanted.
beforehand that offered the 401k?
Oh, I was working retail, Aldi, grocery store.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Wanted to get into real estate investing, wanted to get into bigger multifamily properties, thought that going a construction management route would be beneficial, went to college for it, came out of college, met Dan through mutual friends. Dan somehow suckered me into doing one of the steepest roofs I've ever done in my entire life.
Ooh.
It was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
But I just was like, Dan does real estate. He's got multiple properties all over the place. This is what I want to do. Like, what can I do to help you out and just absorb any bit of information that I can?
Yeah.
we did a couple of projects together, built out a rental unit, and started a business.
There you go. I like that.
It's a very, very tailored back version of the story, for sure.
There was a lot of chaos.
That's fair. Like,
Yeah, no, I mean, we could meet in the middle, but I started doing real estate in 2009.
damn.
And basically what happened to me was I graduated college in 2008 from UConn, degree in economics, and I moved to New York City, and I was a financial advisor in training. And basically the stock market just fell off the earth.
Yeah.
And the guy I worked for was actually a scumbag. He ended up getting cited for $12 million worth of cases against him. Yeah. And basically I quit the day my parents were supposed to invest with him. They were coming in to sign.
Yeah.
Was the day I quit. And I couldn't, at the time I thought I was quitting one of the best opportunities of my life. Turns out to be the best decision ever. Fast forward about a month, it was Christmas Eve, and I got drunk and ended up in Nashville, Tennessee. And this is a true story. And so
Starting in New York,
starting in New York City, yeah.
and then you somehow ended up in Nashville.
Yeah, it's a little bit complicated, but basically, like I was home for the holidays.
Yeah.
My parents got into a fight. I went to see some of my friends at UConn. I got into a fight.
Damn.
And then I was like, I didn't want to go back to New York City. You know, I just had quit my job there. I didn't want to go back to my parents' house. So I used to vacation down in Nashville. I used to go down there with one of my buddies every year. So I just, at midnight, I just packed up my car and drove to Nashville. And then in Nashville, I started buying real estate. And how I got into real estate in Nashville is when I got down there, the market was in shambles at this point, and it was middle of 2009 at this point, and nobody was hiring. I had all my financial licenses to be a licensed financial advisor, but no experience. And basically, nobody was hiring for anything.
Gotcha.
I got a job making a little bit above minimum wage as a bank teller at Fifth Third Bank, and I had to go to over 100 banks in person to even get an interview. Damn. It was nuts. Damn. At my first week in orientation, they started showing us their list of foreclosures. And they said, hey, bank employees have access to all of our foreclosures, not just the ones we're putting on the market. Because back in 2009, they had so many foreclosures, they didn't want to flood the market with them. So they would only put 5% of their foreclosures online. So I'm sitting there in my first week of training, and they're showing me this thing and I'm looking at these house prices, and they were like 20 grand, 30 grand, 25 grand. So, then I started my second week of training where I was actually in the branch, and I talked to the mortgage loan officer and ended up buying my first house for $25,000 in Nashville. And that's how I got my start.
Do you still have that house?
No, I ended up knocking it down, rebuilding it, and selling it for $625,000. So Nashville gentrified quite. Yeah. But this was if I had any amount of resources back then, back in 2009, 2010, when I was living in Nashville, any amount of resources, I would have probably came here today in my helicopter. I mean, I could only buy one $25,000 house. Yeah. So that's all I could do. And I didn't know about creative finance or, using other people's money. I was a 22-year-old kid. I knew shit. And so basically every couple of years I would just buy another house, and I just built up my portfolio in Nashville. Eventually I moved back to Connecticut, where I'm from. And Nashville blew up. They got way too expensive. It's way more expensive than even Connecticut now. And so I started looking in Connecticut for deals. And that's when I bumped into this guy who was like, oh, I want to get into real estate. And I was like, I need a roof done. I'm like, it's kind of real estate related, and let's go do it. And sure enough, working with him was different than working with most people. We were working from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. on a 9-10 pitch roof. And he was also still in school studying. Yeah. So like me and my buddy Nick, who were doing the roof with Leslie, we were like, we were just talking about it. I was like, this kid's a beast. So we actually started talking about doing like a just kind of like working together. I'll teach you, mentor type of situation. And if he could help me find deals and stuff like that. And then I got fired from my actual job. So that's another whole long story.
What was your actual job at that point?
So I actually ran a manufacturing company that is a family business.
Yeah.
So my dad fired me.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now that's a twist.
Yeah, that's a twist.
We asked why you got fired. You don't mind me asking? It's okay.
No. There's no secrets. But basically, I don't want to do what Brian did.
Yeah, it's not to mention that.
I got fired because my whole family worked there. My mom, my dad, my brother, and myself. And basically, it got to the point where my brother would complain about me doing real estate on the side.
Yeah.
And so finally, he would always find some reasons and things like that. And about every 6 to 12 months, we would have this sit-down meeting where my brother would be doing ridiculous things, but yet somehow I would get dragged into these meetings. And the last time it occurred, I basically told my dad, I'm not doing the meeting. I have no intention of sitting down, and I will never sit down again to do one of these stupid meetings where I cannot do my job at the family company because I'm sitting in these meetings where my brother is complaining about me having a side business. So, and he said, no, I'm your boss. Sit down in the meeting. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So he fired me, and that's fine. It was actually one of the best things that ever happened to me because I probably wouldn't have left.
Yeah.
But I've always I wanted to do real estate. I was ready. But kind of back to the story. So Leslie and I were already talking about doing a little bit together. And at this point in time, we were actually working on another project together in Norwich. Mm-hmm. And basically, Leslie was running this whole project for me, and he was doing phenomenal. He's an absolute beast. And then I just show up one day. I'm not supposed to be there. And I told him, hey, I'm here. This is what I'm doing now. So we, after this project was done, we had some conversations, and we're like, let's do it. So we got together. But to touch on one thing that I think is very important with partnerships is basically having the same goals and work ethic is important. If you feel like your partner is taking advantage of you, it'll never work out. So I think Leslie and I have a very similar work ethic. I mean, he's an absolute beast of a human being. I actually think he works harder than me.
Oh,
yeah. So,
I
but
feel you on that. I feel this fucking guy tenfolds me, bro. I just feel like a scrub.
Yeah, no, I disagree. I think Dan's way more productive with the same hour of work. And
Like,
Dan has no problem doing 16, 20-hour days back
Yeah.
to back to back till he gets done what he needs to get done. Honestly, being my first step into real estate, I got super lucky meeting Dan.
Yeah.
This business would not exist if I didn't have Dan as a business partner. It would have failed
I love that.
with any other business partner.
yeah, I like that. I like you guys are close too. It's like a tight knit bond.
yeah. But ironically, we weren't. Like I said, he was just we had a mutual friend.
Yeah.
So basically, that's how we met. So beers by the lake.
Got you.
No,
I like that.
that was, I met Dan at his 4th of July party that I was invited to. And
I like that.
it was the first time I ever met him. I knew from Keith that Dan did real estate. And like when I was on my way out, I was like, Dan, I'd like to talk. Like, this isn't the time or place for it.
Yeah.
It's the 4th of July, but like sometime I'd love to just sit down and talk about real estate.
Yeah.
And then in my head, I went, I have a roof to do, and I need some schlub to help me.
That's funny.
I go, bing. No, but honestly, I've tried to partner up with so many people. My cousin is a contractor, and he's one of the best woodworkers and one of the best contractors. He does, he builds Broadway shows. Like he's phenomenal. But again, I've tried to partner up with him. And again, it's just, if your heart isn't in it, it's never going to be the right partner. Mm-hmm. So I've tried to partner up with one of my other buddies. Ironically, the roofer we're talking about, I've tried to partner up with him twice. I've tried to partner up with one of my other buddies. And again, it usually just never takes off. If you're not going in the same direction, it'll never work.
Yeah, we it's funny you say that because we used to have a third. So Astra's just me and Marcus. We used to have a third person in it. And this kid, he's a great kid. We're still friends with him. No bad blood or anything like that. But it started to get bad blood because we had this like momentum that we like had. We picked up Stearns. We picked up a 4 family, and we're like, okay, cool. Like we got some money coming in. Like let's ramp. Let's start to do some shit. And our partner was basically like, this is great, guys, but like we need to slow down. He's like, we have these houses now. We just gotta like. We need to slow down. We need to like consolidate. I was like, we're consolidating. These are fine. Let's just go get more. And Marcus was in the same boat. Let's just go get more. Let's do more. And our partner was like, no. He's like, I don't want to do that. He's like, if you guys want to do that, you're better off on your own. And then we're like, well, maybe you're right. That's a long story short. But basically, we did end up parting ways, and then it was just growth. So we got to find that.
No,
person.
absolutely. Yeah, if you're not, and honestly, my condolences to your third business partner.
I know, right?
Because in 10 years, he's probably going to regret it immensely.
Oh, I hope so.
And
It's not a spite. It's not a spite. Like,
no, and well, not to shove it in his face, but a lot of people don't realize the long-term benefit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, the long-term benefit, I mean, what real estate has done for my life has been epic. So when I was 23 years old, I set out on a goal to be able to retire by the time I was 40.
yeah.
I am 39. Okay. I lost my job when I was 37. And I was actually very scared when I lost my job.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't live a modest lifestyle, we'll say. So basically, I have a wife who doesn't work. I have a daughter. We have a nice house on the lake. She has a Mercedes. I have a brand new car. We don't live a modest lifestyle.
You got
I have bills. And honestly, didn't even skip a beat.
Yeah.
I could sail off into the sunset whenever I wanted to now. And it was all because of real estate.
Yeah.
It's 100% because of real estate. And when I first started, my first place that I talked about where I paid $25,000 for, I used to rent that for $550 a month. And I would be like at the end of the month and after expenses and this and that, I would walk away with like $250 and I'd be like, yes, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And people don't realize it's that little snowflake that turns into a snowball, that turns into a huge ball of snow that just starts crashing through things. And it grows exponentially.
Yeah.
So it's like the first couple of years are usually the slowest. And some people run faster than I ran. I took the slow and steady route. But first couple of years, usually the slowest. But eventually you're going to hit a tipping point where it starts cascading on top of each other. Your income starts skyrocketing.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, whatever, dude. I mean, then you partner up with Gay Leslie and
Yeah. Like Gaylord Street.
No, honestly, it's one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, for sure.
That's what's up.
And
How's that relationship with your family now? Fast forward.
oh, my family with the family business,
Yeah.
my entire family is destroyed.
Wait, is it actually?
This yes,
Oh shit.
yes.
I'm sorry.
No, yeah, it's fine.
So you don't like talk to any of them?
No, I talked to my dad,
Interesting.
and it wasn't because I got fired.
Okay.
So everything was fine after I got fired, but it was more the same reason why I didn't want to go into that meeting was because my brother and I are vastly different people, and my brother's very smart. He's very good at his job, but he's very entitled. He is one of the problems of the millennial generation, where he feels entitled to things and he doesn't take responsibility for things.
Interesting.
So I'll give you a quick synopsis. And like I said, I don't care. You use it. This doesn't have to be cut. I'm not embarrassed by anything that happened.
Yeah.
So if he's not embarrassed, then he shouldn't mind me saying it. But basically, after my dad fired me, I talked to my dad and I said, I said, what are you doing? I go, you realize this is what TJ's trying to do. He's always wanted 100% of the family business for himself. He's always just set up little landmines and traps. And to give you a little more tidbit on it. 2 days before I got fired, he told my dad I was stealing money from the company and only working 20 hours a week. Neither of which were true. My job was always 100% done. I probably worked on average 50 to 60 hours a week at the family business, and never took vacations. You know, it's crazy. And I certainly didn't steal money. And my dad didn't believe him. That's not why I got fired. Yeah. Otherwise, I would have said that. My dad fired me because I refused to listen to him, and he's the boss, and he's old school like that. Yeah. And not even old school like that. I actually agree with him. I probably should have been fired. You know, your boss says this is a mandatory meeting, and you go, no.
I ask because, like, you hear mixed advice about mixing business with family. So, I mean, where do you stand with that?
My advice is anyone who mixes business with family, the moment you have to be able to look in the mirror and be honest with who the people in your family are. The moment you realize someone is out of line, out of control, or you're unable to get through to them and rationalize with them, they need to be removed. And my brother was fired multiple times from the business long before any of this happened. And he's had mega issues long before any of this happened. And basically it was a bad estate plan where he got a portion of the company in this estate plan that made it impossible to remove him, which I begged my parents not to set up when I was 23 years old. And I was a brand new financial advisor, but they didn't believe me. And I constantly bring that up to my dad, and he's like, shut the fuck up. We can't do anything about the past. And I'm like, listen, it's very difficult. And again, I don't blame my dad or my mom. They obviously built this business for their family, for me and my brother, for their grandkids. And basically, you just have to be able to look your kids in the eye and say, listen, this one, we can't give this one any power because they're going to abuse it. And it's got to be insanely difficult to do. I mean, I don't have 2 kids yet who are adults. And it's got to be very difficult to look at one of your kids and say, this one can't have that. They just can't. They're going to mess it up. They're going to ruin it. They're going to cause a lot of bullshit if you give it to them. And it's I don't know. I don't know how hard it's going to be. I mean, maybe one day I'll be in, I hope I'm never in that position, but I mean, I own some real estate, so
yeah, everyone's gonna
I could potentially be in the same position as my dad in 25 years. So,
yeah, I never know.
Yeah.
So what do you do now to protect yourself? Because you said you also tried getting into business with different partners. What are some things you've learned to put in place, or to prevent things like that with partners?
What do you guys have? Yeah.
I mean, we have pretty defined, like, who does what, who gets the final say in certain things. So, like, Dan does most of the acquisitions. He gets kind of the final say on that. Obviously, we weigh each other's inputs.
Yeah.
Renovations, I get the final say on it. So if Dan's like, hey, we want to change this entire kitchen layout, and I go, that just costs too much money.
It's like
we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Then that's what we go with. And if I'm like, hey, we should only pay... Or we should, pay $260K for this property, and Dan's like, no, $250 is the max. That's it. That's the final offer. So we define who's in charge of what. But the other big thing is, in our business agreement, we've defined how we would ever separate. So when you're starting a business, it's kind of weird to be like, hey, if you don't want to do this anymore, how do we break this apart? But you have to have those difficult conversations up front. While it's easier, instead of you get to the end and everybody's throwing lawsuits at each other, and you've got this handshake deal, and he said, she said, whatever,
nothing
trying to separate, and it just becomes a legal mess.
Interesting. So it sounds like you guys established, because we have like a business coach. So it sounds like you guys he drives home fundamentals and foundations. So it sounds like you guys have established your fundamentals, established your foundations, and you're just sticking to it, type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And definitely, I think the best advice for anybody going into business with anyone is egalitarianism, equality, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You can't be equals on everything. It's just going to cause too many problems. So like I said, we obviously communicate with each other about a lot of things, but there's just certain things where it doesn't matter if I say something to Leslie, he's just going to do what he wants to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. And this way there's no fight about it. You know, there's no sitting there and arguing. If Leslie's like, no, we're doing this with the renovation, that's just what we do.
Yeah.
And it's the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
We don't need to fight. I gave him my input, but it's not my decision. So, I believe on all fronts, having a clear leader is the only way to move forward properly. So, I mean, you know, 2 captains of a ship, that ship's going to be way more likely to crash than if you have 1 captain of a ship who's making decisions quickly, you know, having the final say. And it'll always be that way. I mean, there's a reason we don't have 2 presidents in the United States.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is very true.
You have one leader.
One leader.
One leader has been the most effective solution historically, pretty much forever.
Yeah.
So,
And now so we have like a more like an entrepreneur type of situation. So we do like
Very similar to that, actually.
yeah, it's very like it's crazy how like this like good partnerships have like the same like cores.
Fundamentals,
I guess
yeah.
you could say. So like example, like I have like ideas and I'm like, yo, I think we should do X, Y, and Z, but I'm not good at anything else that Marcos does. I am not good at the marketing. I'm not good at swinging a hammer. I'm not good at like putting together everything else that Marcos does. I suck at, right? But I'm like, yo, I can fucking get us deals, and I have these cool ideas of how I think we can make money, and I like put that in front of Marcos, and then he's also able to execute on those things, right? So it's like
That's awesome.
a visionary slash executor.
Yeah, we like Patrick Bet David talks about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys listen to Patrick Bet David, but he talks about successful partnerships having a vision, very similar to the captain analogy.
Yeah.
You have your visionary and your executor, and we like to think of it as like he steers the ship, and I make sure it doesn't sink.
Yeah, yeah. You make sure
That's how we at least describe it.
Yeah.
It's like whatever, you know, he'll tell us, because again, I feel the same way. We wouldn't be here without Nick. So like he basically steers us wherever we got to go.
Try.
And I just figure out how to put it together.
Make us not lose money.
this guy's the captain of the Titanic over here, steered us into a freaking iceberg.
Yeah, I almost had us buy. Marcos is very against it, but I thought this was a great idea. We almost bought a sober house. And I don't know if I told you about this recently at Brian's meetup, but this house, and this is completely out of our wheelhouse. We don't own anything. We don't own rooming houses. It's not our model. It's lucrative, but like now we're scaling up. We're doing more innovations. Like we're starting to flip more. I'm like, now we're getting busier. And I was like, yo, why don't we just add a sober house on top of that? And he was like, why do you want to do that? And I was like, well, I can get the entry fund, and I think it makes us much. He's like, but bro, that's a business. I was like, yeah, but I feel like we have like the capacity to take it on. But then I started looking at the numbers. I talked to the lady, and then I realized like rooming houses are truly like a separate fucking business. Like you gotta like people stay for only a couple months. You gotta like have housekeepers go in there. They're not gonna clean the area. You gotta have someone clean it frequently. You gotta like, and it's like a sober house. So you gotta like work with the state to get people into the house. And like, so it was like an entire like back and forth. And it was in like a shit part of Hartford. And there was no off-street parking. But there was a cool driveway with a 4-car garage that was rented. But there wasn't enough space to park. It was just like a path that led to that garage. And I was like, nice. So that's why I had all these opportunities in my mind. And I was like, you know what? It's going to be more of like a headache than anything. And the guy, this lady had like a finance guy like trying to pitch me the deal. He wanted $425. He's like, you're buying the business. And I was like, listen, man, no rooming house has sold more than $350. I'll give you $375 creatively, but like that's the offer. He's like, well, we have people willing to pay $450 with SBA loans. So I was like, then take it. I was like, bro, nobody is buying this house for $450. I don't give a fuck what loan they use, bro. Because that loan's not going to buy you the house just because it's a business. I literally told him, I was like, if you take away the people in that house, it's just a house. I was like, you're not buying furniture. I'm not buying those fucking like $100 Walmart couches like this. It's all shit. You know what I mean? Like, so I was like, you're not buying. I was like, it doesn't entitle the furniture in there does not entitle a $75,000 price increase to this deal. So I'm like, what are we doing? So it's what it is.
I want to piggyback off of
Please.
that. The other thing is when you do have a business partner and they make a decision, it's business. You're going to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
You still have to back them up 110%. Even if it wasn't the choice you wanted to make, and even if it ends up being the wrong choice, you still have to look at it and be like, hey, they made the best decision that they could with the information that they have. This is the situation that we're in now. This is the path forward.
Yeah.
It's not, hey, I mean, we still rag on each other,
Oh,
but
of
it's
course.
not like, hey, I'm gonna try and sabotage this deal because it's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
Or I didn't get my way. It's like, again, back to the ship.
Yeah.
Don't blow holes in your own ship.
Yeah.
You're on it too. You need it just as much as they
right.
do.
I love that. That's a fucking good analogy because like a lot of people, especially with our old partner, I guess you could say, it was like if something went wrong, it was like it's like the Spider-Man meme where everyone's like pointing at each other, like so it's like you can't do that. Right?
That's the best way to kill a business.
Exactly. If like we lose money, we're losing money together.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna happen. So you might as well take it.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like people, when they jump into partnerships, they'll be a little bit hasty. And, you know, I've been hasty about it before, but I've never gotten as far deep into a partnership as with Leslie. But
Yeah.
honestly, just we had a lot of conversations and worked together for about a year before we made it official.
Yeah.
You know, before we officially started going out. You know what I'm saying? No.
Like get in the business, like Leslie in a dress.
No,
Like,
but yeah, we were working together for about a year
Yeah.
on projects together before we like actually formed an LLC,
Yeah.
signed an operating agreement and stuff like that. And I do think it's important. It's important to know. And you know, we had a lot of talks about what we saw the business becoming. And you know, one of the things that I talked to Leslie about, me personally, is I told him, you know, this to me is not something I want ever becoming like a business with an office and 40 employees. Like if we had a couple employees here or there,
Yeah.
that would be fine. But eventually, that's my cutoff, and he knows already that's the ceiling for me. If he wants to go out and start another business where he wants to grow it to like, you know, $20 million a year and have 150 employees, I would encourage that.
Yeah.
You're just not doing it with me.
That's fair.
I have not, and you know, you got to be upfront about what your long-term goals are.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people don't sit and think about their long-term goals when they start a partnership. And that's why a lot of partnerships break apart after 2, 3, 4, 5 years, because the long-term goal starts becoming apparent,
Yeah.
and it's vastly different than the other person's long-term goal.
Yeah.
So, and we actually have it written into our operating agreement. Basically, like, you know, when we do deals and stuff like that, if we vote the deal down in Eagle Estates, we could buy it separately ourselves. No harm, no foul. So if like Leslie really wanted a deal and I was like, nope, not doing that deal, he could just go buy it for himself and there would be no hard feelings.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, you know, obviously Leslie and I are at a little bit different stages,
Yeah.
you know, about 10-year age gap. But I encourage Leslie to go take over the world of real estate. I don't know.
You got it.
What do you want? How many employees you want, Leslie?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, what is like your like long term? What does that look like?
40 employees is too much headache. My lifestyle
Yeah.
is not going to change if I make 150K a year or I made 850K a year.
Yeah.
I'm going to have the same exact lifestyle.
That's fair.
So, you know,
like that.
less headache, more free time eventually.
Yeah.
You know, but plenty of money coming in to be comfortable.
I respect that. So it's like with both your partnerships. So it's like with your partnership here, do you see like what like you said the 40 employee ceiling? Like what do you want for like real estate needs, right? So if say you could build a $100 million company with like 10 people, is that something you would do, or are you kind of like gonna cap it at somewhere?
No.
Look like? No, fair.
No.
Yeah.
$100 million headaches?
Yeah.
It
No.
is a lot of headaches. Yeah, they do more money, more problems. It is a fact.
100%. It's a mega fact.
Yeah.
You know, I thought, you know, when I left the family business or got pushed out of the family business, I thought for sure I would have all this extra free time. I don't have any extra free time.
Yeah.
I have more to do.
Yeah.
And I mean,
It's like it's always something.
as you grow and grow and grow, you problems get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you have to enjoy what you do a little bit. But I mean, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot to do, and some people are just built for it.
Yeah.
You know, you look at a guy like Elon Musk. This guy is an absolute animal.
Yeah.
But he's not lucky. He works like 20 hours a day.
He does, and he sleeps. Even still, like he sleeps in his like office.
Yeah, he
It's,
sleeps.
like,
Yeah.
4 hours and gets up and does another 20-hour day. But that dude's also like, I mean, we don't need to be worth $500 billion. Like, at that point, it's cool, but damn, to be worth $500 billion is like, you gotta really want to be worth $500 billion.
Yeah, but then you have no time to do anything with
Oh, of
that
course.
$500 billion.
Oh yeah, because dude, he's too busy fucking launching rockets. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
mean,
the amount
hey,
of
that's
time.
a pretty cool trade off.
It is a flex.
But-
it is a flex, but
Catching them's even cooler. But
yeah, that's
That was
fucking
unbelievable.
impressive. That is so impressive.
He said, I saw one of his little like clips online and it was hysterical. Elon Musk, he was talking about regulation and he goes, it shouldn't take less time to build a space rocket than it takes to move papers across a desk to get the approval to launch.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's hysterical, but he talks about it with the government efficiency. But I mean, all those big CEOs, these guys are just absolute workaholics. And it's great. And I work a ton too, but I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of undertaking. And what I learned from my family business, like I said, I used to run all the HR, all the personnel, all the accounting. I did sales, benefits administration. Everybody wears a ton of hats, small businesses. And I love all the people at the company. They're great people. But when you're in charge of 40 people and when you're a business owner and when you have that responsibility, everything just falls on you. 100%. So something goes wrong with your benefits, your employees are mad at you. You know, something goes wrong with your vendors are mad at you. You need to pay them whatever it is. Something goes wrong with your customers, everyone's mad at you. It is a ton of responsibility. And so I do I'm going to go to another Elon Musk quote that I saw because I think he has these great quotes. But someone asked him, they go, how do you motivate people to start businesses? And he goes, I had a friend who said starting a business is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. He goes, if you need motivation, don't start a business. It's not the right business for you. That one resonated with me so much.
Yeah.
It's like you have to be passionate when you're the business owner because you're going to be getting stomped on all over the place by everyone. Everything is 100% your responsibility. And you just have to continue to move forward.
Yeah.
For less money than everyone else too at the beginning. I'm sure you guys felt it at the beginning. Leslie has felt it. I certainly felt it, you know. And it's, if you want to be an entrepreneur, I like that motto. If you need to be motivated to be an entrepreneur, then don't be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. That's true because after I went full time inside of Astra once my kid was born, and I was like really nervous about it because I was like, wow, now I gotta like worry about like our expenses, what we're spending. I gotta make sure we have a pipeline, the deals are doing fine. And I left Luke. And Luke, you know Luke Florian by any chance?
I've heard of him.
Yeah, so the guy, big portfolio. So I used to do all of Luke's sales, and like it was safe because I got commission and everything. I didn't have to worry about what Luke was spending. I didn't have to worry about how much he was spending on marketing. All I knew was Nick's job is to go out there, get signed contracts, dispo them, get paid. Or if we're gonna flip it, make sure everything goes well, get paid. Make it nice and simple, right? So, but now it's on our dollar. And so it's like, now I understand why he was like, yo, Nick, you should call these leads at least 9 times a day. It sounds crazy, but you should really do that. Now I understand, and I did. Don't get me wrong, I got a hold of people. I closed, my contract ratio was insane. But now I understand, like, why he said that and, like, the pressure that, like, business owners feel to, like, not waste money and not like let anything fall through the cracks, because like when you're spending like $300, $500 for like a good lead, you don't want that good lead to get stolen by fucking Brian. Like, not like I have to worry about it with Brian's closing skills. No shade. I'm afraid that he's at that appointment by himself today. But
he does close deals, and I really don't know how he does it.
That's the
I've
thing.
watched him do it, and I'm like, you did everything wrong, and you still got it.
He's very charismatic.
He is.
That's one of the best things
He
you
can
can
charm
be.
people.
Yeah,
He
He
can.
can charm people, which is why he has that meetup.
yeah.
So but yeah,
I love the Bad Sons videos. That's the only one I go to every month for sure.
We literally are in the same. We tried to go to embarrassing story. We tried to go to another meetup in Glastonbury. Wow, it was like 2 months ago.
Glastonbury?
Yeah, remember? We didn't even go. We went there and we fucking.
Oh.
Oh, it was so embarrassing. So we went there, and like, we looked through the glass and you can see where the meetup was, but it was like 5 people sitting at a table, like just like chit chatting, and I was like, that looks really boring. And so we looked at each other and we like walked back and forth for at least like 5 minutes. Just like staring inside. We probably looked so creepy, but they're like, you know what? Let's just go home. So we just got back in the car and left. We never did anything with it. Yeah. And you put together, we spent on the way there. He put together a full scope of work for this deal in Cromwell we were supposed to get, and the guy didn't give it to us. It was like supposed to be under contract, like solidified, and the guy like changed his mind. It was an investor too, because Brian brought us the deal, and he was like, "Yo, this guy closed on it. He doesn't want it anymore." I think you guys were also involved in the deal, Taylor.
Yeah,
I don't want to say names, but then I guess this other deal didn't go through. But then he's like, I want to keep Cromwell, but like he was like, you guys have Cromwell, and then he's like changed his mind, and then he has their desk hit me up for that fucking Watertown deal, and then says my numbers are bad. I'm like, I know the numbers are bad. That's why it's a fucking ovation. I sent it out. Oh, don't get me started. I hate when people like critique numbers. If it doesn't fit your buy box, I don't need you to tell me why. Just say no. Like, I understand the numbers are thin. I get that's why it's that's why it's on the market. I get it. You don't need to. This dude like really sent me a whole message about like why it's thin, like why he thinks this, and I was like, I put that in the email. Like, everyone got an email, and I literally acknowledged the fact that yes, it's thin, but if you want it, here's a chance. It's up to you.
Right.
And like the only person who understood with this other guy, so he's a Watertown investor. He's like, yeah, no, I get it. He's like, listen, I do a boatload over there. I might be interested. Let me review. I'll get back to you. I was like, you know what? Thank you for not fucking shitting on me. And like you're also one of the only people who didn't shit on me. You were like, yeah, I'll review it. No problem. I was like, okay, cool. Everyone else is like, oh, your numbers. I was like, I get it. It's an ovation.
No, I saw you post it, but you didn't text me. I was like, dude, hey, what the heck?
I know.
and then I'm like looking at it, and I do my number like super quick. I'm like, oh, I'm glad he didn't text me with this one.
Because I can't
do it. You know?
Can't do it. I just put it out there just in case there's like feelers, right? Because my cousin, he lives like 30 seconds over, and he was interested, but he's like, yo, I got so much going on right now. I just don't have the time. I was like, that's fair. But I was like, let me just put out feelers. And I'm like, go for it.
No,
and
yeah. As soon as you put that one online, Leslie called me, and I picked up, and he goes, oh, I just wanted to make sure my phone was working. And then I didn't get a message here.
I try not to embarrass myself with bad deals. So I like sometimes if I know it's like thin, I just won't post it because like everyone on Facebook has something to say, and half people who critique who don't even do deals. They're like have analysis paralysis, and they're like sitting in on their spreadsheets.
We get that from time to time. So we assign deals if we're too busy and stuff like that. And basically, we'll get people all the time. Like Leslie had a guy last month who started yelling at him because it was an on-market deal. We lock up a lot of our stuff on the MLS.
Yeah.
And
wholesale it out, yeah.
And literally the subject line of Leslie's email says on market for assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, this is on market, right?
And
he goes, yeah, dude, I locked it up.
Sending me these free ass on market. Yeah. It was like Leslie called me. He's like, I don't even know how to respond to this guy. It literally is the title of the subject.
Yeah.
It says it's on. We're not trying to hide the fact. We included in the email.
Yeah.
We include the MLS sheet.
Yeah.
for an information
Pride.
sheet.
Yeah.
And it's like. He's like, I don't even know. I'm like, just,
leave it.
Tell the guy he's gay or something and move on.
Yeah, there's so many like warriors, bro, and they're like these people who don't do like this one guy messaged. He was like, he's like, is the seller open to like a creative structure? I was like, no, but like I was like, we can hold back money in escrow. And this is for the same deal. I was, we hold back money in escrow for the lease back. He's like, I've done so many of these. That's how he opened like his next. I was like, whenever someone says that, they have not done so many. And then
They're doing 2 deals a year.
Yeah, he hit me with like a line of bullshit, and I was like, so do you want to see it? I was like, do you want to walk through? Yes or no? Like schedule it. And I'll meet you, but people, man, people, it's just like it's crazy.
It's nuts. Well, this is obviously the delusion, the level of delusion it takes to believe that it's healthy to cut off perfectly functioning body parts of a human being.
They produce milk.
Yeah, like
They're useful.
even if they're not producing milk, it just doesn't matter. You're just like, again, like if I walked into my doctor's office and was like, hey, I would prefer to be paraplegic. Can you cut off my arms? No doctor in America would be like, absolutely, sir, right this way. No, they would be like, no, we're not going to cut off your arms. Is there anything wrong with your arms? Is there like cancer? What's going on in your arms that we need to cut them off? And I'd be like, no. I feel inside like an armless person.
You can probably find some doctor.
And I need you to affirm my belief that I am an armless person. Please cut my arms off. Again, it would never even be considered. And even this BS with the whole cutting off genitals would never be considered 20 years ago.
Oh, dude.
This is just, I don't know where you get delusional. You think you can cut off, some of your body parts and change who you are. It is bananas. It's absolute bananas world that we're even having this conversation.
Isn't it crazy?
I can't imagine this would be the conversation we're having, fast forward 20 years.
Yeah.
I was told we were going to have flying cars when I was growing up.
Yeah. The
Disappointed.
Jetsons.
We didn't get those yet.
We didn't get those. We got water-based jetpacks.
Those are pretty cool.
Those are pretty cool.
Yes. Those are very, very, very cool.
Welcome to America. Only an American, dude.
But I will say, what they do need to do is they need to revise the DSM, the psychological manual. They need to revise it because they did change all these definitions. But what a lot of people don't realize is homosexuality was also used to be a mental illness in the DSM.
Really?
That's true.
And what my thing is, I grew up in the 90s, and like I said, one of my best friends was gay growing up. I have no problem with gay people or anything like that. Yeah. But honestly, what they're doing now has kind of made me even think back to what I was taught growing up and wonder if homosexuality shouldn't have been removed from the DSM. And again, it's you have to think about it like just a carnal like creature, in your most primitive instincts. The organism has 2 jobs: survival, reproduction.
That's it.
So if you're not fulfilling your most primal instincts as an organism, then maybe there is something a little bit wrong up there. And like I said, it's not to like go after these people. You shouldn't do anything bad to these people. I love gay people. Leslie is here.
My business partner's gay.
My business partner's gay. It's funny. Oh, and just for the record, I have nothing against gay. I know what I just said was diabolical. I have nothing. I'm with you. Nothing against gay. My sister's gay. I am on board. But
I would revise it all the way back to the 70s. Yeah. I think homosexuality as well is a mental illness. For certainly people who believe they're a different gender dysphoria is certainly a mental illness. But I even think homosexuality is a mental illness. And here's the thing, like everybody has something.
Yeah.
Of
course.
Nobody's sitting on top of like this great mind and is like, oh, I'm great. I mean, even Elon Musk, dude, he named one of his kids like XR2 divided by 46, symbol.
He has like Asperger's though, right? Elon Musk. He has like a form form of Asperger's, I thought.
He's full blown retarded, I believe.
He has to be, bro. You can't be that smart without being like something.
I mean, he's obviously a brilliant man, but like even the state of California, when he named his kid, they rejected the name, which I didn't even know that was possible. But they're like, I forget what the reason was, so don't like.
You
but it
use
was like
characters that aren't on a standard keyboard.
yeah, like they were
Yeah.
like, you can't use hyphens in people's name, or not hyphens. Obviously, you could just you can't use triangles or whatever he was trying to use.
Yeah.
It was some like weird symbol he had in there, and he uses numbers with his kids' names. I mean, obviously, there's a screw or two loose in that guy's head, but
Yeah.
he's a brilliant man. Asperger's as fuck, but
Yeah, he's something. I also think he does it to be. I think he does the name shit just to be funny. I genuinely think he does it like as a meme, just like because he knows people are gonna hate
but
on
no,
it.
he legitimately names his kids that. Like
know.
it's on their birth certificate. That's not a meme.
Yeah, there's like 2 Well, yeah, I think he just goes with it that far, and like
Yeah.
it's like he's cool with it, and his
Yeah.
kids have to suffer.
Oh my gosh! To be in that guy's head for 20 minutes, I would probably lose my mind.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
jeez.
jeez.
I don't know. It'd probably be the coolest experience of my life.
Oh, it's like you're always on like fucking DMT because he sees like calculations in front of him as he's going. Like, he's fucking absolutely crazy. Who
He
am
sees
I?
in 4 dimensions.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, dude. I can go on, but
What is his goal?
to colonize Mars. That's his goal.
Elon Musk, I mean, he actually is what his actual goals are actually very admirable, but he wants to change the world for the better.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to, he's a big believer in environmental health. That's why his car company is an electric car company, and he's huge into solar. He's trying to get like solar panels to the world. He's trying to energize the entire world. So if he's successful in doing what he wants to actually do, it's probably going to be magnificent for the human race.
Because our planet is dying technically, like day by day. With the amount of shit we pollute, the amount of shit we do with our air. So look at global warming. Antarctica's melting. Technically speaking, our planet is falling apart. So we do need somebody to hopefully restore it. And that if not, his backup plan is to bring people to Mars, colonize Mars, because that's the only other planet that could sustain it.
I believe on Mars, his kids' names wouldn't be that weird.
Probably not. Yo, did you see they found the cube on Mars, like a giant fucking square?
No, I
You
didn't
s-
see
you
this.
that? Yeah, they found a giant fucking like a legitimate, perfect like 90-degree angles around the square, a giant one, like in some random ass part. I guess enough dust blew off and they finally found it. That means there's symbols on that planet, which means somebody was fucking there on that planet billions of years ago. Because you don't just fucking have a perfect square.
Like crater? Or,
No,
or
like it's a
something
fucking
engraving,
it's like a
or-
symbol on Mars. Like it's fucking they like carved this giant like square fucking. Google it. Yeah, it's a giant.
Are you sure you weren't just watching Transformers? Because
No,
they have a
so-
square in that too.
I'm so positive. No, bro, it's
They have
literally
the
like
cube.
They fucking they found this giant square on Mars and they're like, yo, what is this? They also found the door, but like nobody admits that it's a door. But it's what it is.
Well, we'll figure it out. Elon Musk will probably figure it out.
He'll figure it out. When we send someone over there, someone's gonna see it. Either gonna come back or not. So
They're going to walk through the door and find out what's on the other side.
I would not want to be that person. There's probably some fucking crazy, like, this is like cave divers. Like, they're so curious to see what's in these caves, and they wonder why they die. They're like confused when they get stuck. I'm like, I would never like go underground like that.
Oh, this cave is too small for me. Let me take my dive gear off and go into it.
Yeah, with no light. Let me just use my fucking like my knowledge of the cave that I like fucking photographic memory mapped it in my head to like feel my way around. I would not want to do that.
It just sounds like a bad idea.
It's a horrible idea. Like I saw this video, this guy who got stuck, and like he thought he went the right way, but he didn't go the right way, and he just like ended up down in like a thing and they couldn't pull him out. He just died.
Yeah, no, I heard a story. There was one where like they had 3 different tiers, and you know you had to be like some level thing. I think it was in Australia.
Yeah.
But like this family went down there, like their brothers and sisters. They were all divers, and after the second tier, there's literally signs that say "Do not go off." It's a straight down cliff.
Yeah.
To the third cave, you will get they're completely pitch black, no up from down. even if you have lights, you won't be able to
Yeah.
see the difference between up and down. You're just gonna get lost.
Yeah.
And they went down 3rd tier, and half of them didn't make it back up
Really?
because they all just run out of oxygen down there. You get so lost.
Yeah.
And it's like you just feel like you're in, a never-ending mirror.
Yeah.
And it was this story. Oh my God, it was terrible. It was terrible because someone ended up going down to the 3rd tier who actually was like certified to do it and found all of them. And
Crazy.
yeah,
I just would have read the sign.
yeah. Well, sometimes you should follow directions.
They're there for a reason.
Yeah,
They put the signs there for a reason.
yeah.
This is a lot. I would never. I have like claustrophobia. I don't like tight spaces. I used to be a fireman. For Wolke, I was a volunteer, and you had to go to like fire school. So I went through everything. And one of the still to this day, I never want to do it again. You have to be in like full gear with oxygen and go through like a pitch black tunnel with like that's already super tight, and then you have gear on, and then they're like you get to a point where you can't cross it with your SCBA. So like while you're in the tunnel, you have to like take off your SCBA while your mask is still on and push it in front of you and like squeeze through.
Yeah,
That must have been fun for you.
I've been in a good amount of fires and I never had to use that skill. I know some people do. Listen, I'm not gonna like discredit it, but we live in Wookett. Like I was not going to seeing like crazy like mansions on fire, like buildings on fire. Like we got like
Well, they're simulating like the building collapsing, right?
Yeah.
You've got like rafters around you, so you've got this small
and like the
window to
wires
get
and shit. So
through.
they put like wires in there, obviously dead wires. So you get like
But you
tangled.
get tangled
shit.
and stuck.
Oh, dude, hated it with a passion. Not fun. I've only been like one fire that I was actually like slightly like concerned. Yeah, it's because I was a search team. We had to go to the basement and it was pitch black, and there was actually like roaring fire, and I was like, oh fuck, like it's not fun. Then one of my buddies who was standing up it's called like a fucking, it's like I think it's like a Halligan. It's like a big bar. He poked me in the butt with it, and I was like, he saw me.
You're like, oh, it's okay now.
Yeah, and he had like a thermal vision on, so he could like see very clearly. Like he was like, whoop. I was like, oh fuck. But it's fun. It was a good time.
I bet you liked it.
I fucking love it. That's how I got started in
This is
anal.
why I went through fire training the whole time.
Yeah,
Get me in that
that's
dark
actually-
tunnel
that-
and poke me in the butt.
That actually is the reason I got like me and my fiance we got into anal because of that. Like,
Ironically for us, we have this bad problem of like the deals we think are gonna do great usually do like mediocre or poorly, and the deals we're terrified of. At the end of it, we're like, "Holy crap, that was a good one!"
Why can't they all be like this?
Yeah,
dude, if we can get that with Ledge and also do well on Burnt, I'd be the happiest camper to grace the earth.
yeah. Well, obviously, we hope you guys do phenomenal on Ledge. I don't know what the heck you guys did with with the drywall and the plaster. Brian was like, "I took one little piece off because I was checking it out. The whole house fell down." And
Dude,
I'm like, you can replaster things.
it wasn't being replastered. The demo people did such a bad job that it's just like
No, I should have. I would have done things differently. And I learned a lot.
That's always the best deals. Are the ones where you learn a lot.
yeah.
But what would you have done differently?
I would have used different crews.
Different crews.
Cause like,
Yeah.
well, one of the things is you trust somebody to like. You let somebody take care of something when you know they're probably not the best suited for said task. But you let the relationship be like, yeah, no, I want to like, cause we go back a couple months and with this person, when we would talk about our plans and stuff like that, we didn't. Not that I promised her like, not that I promised her.
I
that
promised
we
her
would,
stuff.
We would take care of stuff.
I promised
but
her
like,
work. Yeah.
But myself included. I was like, yeah, you're one of our. I said her name, but I should have done some more homework. There were a few signs that told us she wasn't as reliable with her crew as maybe we needed, and I still, overlooked all of it. And she showed up for the first day. Everyone showed up late, and with a completely different crew. And I was like, okay, not that I like, not you can show up with whoever you'd like, but you know, I would have been more comfortable with, you know, because there's the whole thing of like, you know, I want to trust people, but you know, she wasn't suited.
This sounds very familiar to one of our first flips together.
That's like
And I hired the wrong contractor.
Ooh.
And Dan knew from pretty much day 2 that it was the wrong contractor.
Fucking David.
Don't use David. This is like what you don't use David.
Not Haberfeld, everybody, if you're listening. But no, this other guy, David. No, nobody really knows him.
Yeah, he
Understandable.
was the wrong guy, too big of a job. He probably would be perfect for turning over an apartment very quickly.
Yeah.
Not the right guy for doing a flip. Where
Gotcha.
you want like high quality stuff. You're getting more involved. You're replacing kitchen cabinets
Yeah.
and stuff like that. He was just the wrong guy for the job, and I tried to limp him along and help him out and just fix everything that he screwed up as we went along. And Dan was spot on. He's like, you might want to just get rid of this guy.
Yeah.
And it would have saved us a ton of headache.
Did you get rid of him eventually?
Eventually, yes, but way too far into the project. He should have been gone the first week.
Damn.
In Leslie's defense, this guy was begging to be let off the job because Leslie did a nice contract with him. And basically, Leslie just kept making him redo stuff for free, redo stuff for free, redo stuff for free. At the end, this guy was so happy when Leslie was like, hey, do you just want to part ways? He was like, please. Okay, yes, please.
Well, he actually showed up to the job, and I had another contractor there.
Really?
Yeah.
That was how he knew he was fired. He showed up, and there was somebody else there.
Damn. Did he just like
And
not
he's
say
like,
anything?
am I fired? I'm like, yeah, you are.
That's
Yep.
fair.
Okay, so
I was like, grab your stuff.
Yeah. Like, come in. Do your thing. That's crazy.
the story with this guy, and this will be a red flag for any contractor ever. But basically, the reason why I knew right away is because he came in and he started on Thanksgiving Day,
Yeah.
which was very impressive. We were happy about that. We're like, this guy is a beast.
Yeah.
And I'll say, like, his crew, like, they
wanted to work.
They wanted to work. They were just bad at their job.
That's fair.
Anyways, and he goes, hey, I got to pay my crew for the first week. And we're like, well, you only work 2 days. And he's like, yeah, but next week I'm going away. I have a funeral, blah, blah, blah. And he like gave us this sob story. So I'm like, okay, Leslie. Leslie told me about it. I'm like, give him a little bit of money to pay his guys. They also worked Thanksgiving. So
Yeah.
kudos to them.
Yeah.
Okay. So then he immediately comes back from this trip. And it was like Wednesday of the following week. And he's like, I need more money. At that moment, I knew this guy sucked. And he was a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about? We preemptively paid you
Yeah.
already. It's not even the end of the second week. You now have 5 working days. So we had Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And he was asking for week number 2 check.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. And Leslie tried to limp him along, and we did very well on the deal.
Yeah.
So,
That was good. That's a win.
but Leslie ended up doing a lot of the work himself, and calling in another contractor at the end.
Yeah.
But
So you're licensed GC, right?
No.
Oh. I thought you were licensed. Really?
My background's in construction management.
Oh. How'd you get licensed?
But-
Just have it.
That's a good question.
you can if you want
Typically-
to.
Yeah. But it's easier to manage a GC than to be the GC.
That is true.
We have 3 flips right now. It'd be kind of a nightmare to manage all 3 of
That's very
them.
fair.
Where if we have GCs doing, one of them.
Now, do you
at a
use the
time,
same
it's
GC
easier.
for multiple flips or just different?
It depends on the flip and the level of the flip.
Yeah.
So, like we were saying with David, he'd probably be perfect for turning over an apartment that
Yeah.
needed nothing. You're going to put new LVP floor in and paint
Yeah.
everything.
No.
Yeah. Fair.
A David style guy.
Yeah.
David himself would not be.
Yeah.
But
Do not use A guy who has
but
to
then-
be paid twice for the same week, that guy is no good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
But then there's other guys that if you're doing a big renovation and you're taking down walls, you're doing structural stuff. You want a certain type of GC that can handle that kind of thing.
Interesting. I like that. With when I ran with Luke a lot, Luke often would just base it off of like area and like who he liked. So there was times where we did some business in New London, not New London, but like New London County, and we had this one guy, and his name was Mike. I'll say Mike for I'm not gonna say his last name, but Mike was a great guy as a human being on like a person level. Mike would always have an excuse as to why projects would get delayed, as to why shit would be crappy. So one time I was in the area, I locked up a deal in Rhode Island, and so I was coming back. The deal was in Salem. So Luke's like, "Yo, can you just stop by and see how he's doing? Just pop in on him." And I was like, "Well, this isn't really my forte. I'll go look." I went in there. House was supposed to go live like 2 days after. The house looked like shit, like ass. Like shit still wasn't done. Like it was dirty. Shit was left everywhere. And like Luke's like, "Just send me pictures." And I send Luke pictures from my car. I talk to Mike, and then I leave. And next thing you know, as I'm leaving, I see Mike like put his phone to his head, and I was like, "Oh, that must be Luke." And so I talked to Luke later in the day. And Luke's like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to extend about another like probably a week and a half. We'll get it listed. But I really appreciate you going out there and sending me photos." So I was like, "Damn." So Mike probably got chewed up by Luke, and then Mike never was used on a project ever again. So he was used on we assigned him a deal, and it was a 5-unit. It was a horrible deal. We could not find a buyer for it. But I was dealing with some hedge. This is my first experience with like a hedge fund guy. And he was like, "Yo, I don't care what you do." He's like, "I don't care if you're a wholesaler, a buyer. I need to close by here. You need to get it done. Can you get it done?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, no worries." So I found a buyer, got it done, but Mike bought the deal. And I'm like, to this day, I don't think the deal's done. That was like almost 3 years ago. So
You don't think the deal's done?
I don't think he ever finished it.
Oh, you think he's still working?
I
on
think
it?
he's still working on it. Because
Oh
he just does everything himself. He gets so
It's an appreciation play.
Yeah. Oh, it must be. It must be something. And it was in Norwich, bro. It was a 5.
Oh, that's not an appreciation play.
Yeah, no. So it was a 5.
Great rental market, but
We know nothing about Norwich.
It was a fried 5-unit. Like the house should have been torn down 5-unit. Like it was fucked. But hey, you got it for 100 G's. So I mean, money.
No, 100 G's is good for a 5-unit, even in Norwich.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It was
I have an awesome building in Norwich. I love it.
Really. You guys like Norwich's market a lot, which I respect. We personally try and stay away.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Yeah, that's a good
we,
idea.
we don't really
Yeah.
like Norwich.
It's tough. It's tough.
No, yeah, I mean, we like Norwich though for a lot of different reasons, but rental market, we don't do many long-term rentals out there. I just have one building
Yeah.
that ideally I would love to turn it into something different, but it's the way the building is set up. It's just not conducive to anything except long-term rentals.
Yeah.
But I make a fortune off of it.
Really? How many units?
It's a 7 to 8.
Okay. 7 to 8.
Yes.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. But it's good. It's actually 3 houses on one property, and one is a mixed use building
Okay.
with a commercial space.
Okay.
And that was, oh my gosh, the nightmare behind that. But Norwich should be an awesome town. The reason why we invest there is it really should be an awesome town. You know, you got both the casinos right there.
Yeah.
You have Frito-Lay. You're not far from Electric Boat. You're not far from Pfizer.
Yeah.
You got the naval base. Mystic isn't far.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see the differences in a well-run town like Mystic
Yeah.
versus Norwich, Groton, and New London,
Yeah.
which are all poorly run. How do you guys feel about people when you send them out deals and they send you lowball numbers without even looking at it?
They don't do deals.
I agree.
Yeah.
They frustrate me.
There's so many
When they're-
Facebook warriors. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, when they're like 75K off from your ask.
Yeah. I'm like, there's been times I posted like good deals on Facebook, and I'm like, I already sent it to my buyers. This is during like my freedom days, right? When I worked with Luke, I posted like some good deals, and I was like, yo, these are the numbers, and I saw people shitting on me, and then we ended up closing it, and we were trying to sign it for like 15, 20 grand, not even, and then like Luke closed it and make a fortune on it, I was like, these numbers aren't bad. It's like everyone on Facebook just has something to say. They all think there's so many looky-loos and people who have like analysis paralysis, people who've never done a deal, but they think they could do a deal because their realtor's like helping them like find something.
Can I ask about the Airbnbs for a little bit?
Yeah, we haven't gotten onto Airbnbs.
Why do you choose Airbnbs over long-term rentals?
Well, because that's what Dan was involved with, and he had the systems in place, and it was the route to go. So Dan's going to give you a way better answer than I will on this.
You should check out Mr. B&B. Okay, no. There actually is that's a website for gay people to book Airbnbs. I wish I was joking. I'm not. That is not a joke.
That's kind of funny.
Anyways, shout out to Mr. B&B from Leslie. And no,
Make sure your cleaners take care of your bed sheets.
I mean, how I got into Airbnbs was basically in Nashville. I had all long-term rentals down there, and they started shutting off residential zones, and they said you can't do it here anymore. You can't do it here anymore. And I had one property that was in an RM zone, residential mixed use, and my buddy called me. He had been doing Airbnbs for a couple of years, and he's like, "Hey, you should do it before they turn it off." He's like, "They're literally passing the law in like a week, so if you don't get your permit before the week is over, you'll never be able to do it." And I was like, I actually just coincidentally had 2 college students vacate this property, and I was like, you know what? Let's. Nothing could go wrong if I get the permit.
Yeah.
It costs a couple $100, and if I never use it, whatever. So I got the permit. The college kids vacated. I turned this duplex into an Airbnb, two Airbnbs, and the following year I 5x'd my profit on that building. And so then I was just like, okay, I get it. Like this works. This works. So Nashville obviously went to the moon, and it started becoming very tough because, like I said, they made it illegal in residential areas to start Airbnbs. So I was kind of like dead in the water in Nashville.
Yeah.
And I started looking for places in Connecticut.
Really?
And that's when we decided to go set up shop near the casino.
Smart.
Yeah. And it worked out very well.
Especially now that Gordon Ramsay, I don't know if you get any clients because this Gordon Ramsay was in
Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, Hell's Kitchen. Food's
Yeah.
fire.
We took our entire cleaning crew there for end
thank
of
you.
year for a thank you. Yeah.
It's a good ass place.
It was awesome.
People-
I loved it.
Hopefully, do you get business because of that? Because like people want to eat that restaurant, or do you know why you get business, or is it just because of the casino? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of our business is casino business. We'll get other people who are just traveling to town, see family, whatever. But a lot of our business is obviously casinos, conventions, things of that nature. I don't specifically know if they're going to Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
But I could imagine that's going to be certainly pull a lot of people to the area, especially considering they were filming there too.
Yeah, it's huge. And a gay guy won, so you're going to get a lot of those people.
We're excited. We love them. That's our favorite. We're like the number one Airbnb on Mr. B&B. So
I love that. You can actually register, as I swear. Like, we're like big Hell's Kitchen fans. We like watch like every season, Shelby and I. And yeah, he's fucking...
I used to love Hell's Kitchen too. I've been watching it in a few seasons, but I love Gordon Ramsay and just him screaming.
You watch all his shows, dude, because it's just you know what you're gonna get. It's just like mind numbing. You like lay down, eat some food, become a vegetable, and just like listen to Gordon yell at people.
Absolutely. And honestly, with Airbnbs, there's mixed. A lot of people have mixed feelings about Airbnbs, and it's certainly, I think it gets lumped into real estate a little bit hastily. I consider it more the hospitality industry. So you're really switching out of real estate and going into hospitality.
Yeah.
If you want to do it right, it's a completely different experience, and it is way more upfront cost. You know, you buy a long-term rental, you just buy a long-term, you buy a building, you maybe have to renovate it with like really cheap grade, builder grade stuff. And you throw it on the market and everybody brings their own furniture and decorates it. No, you got to go through the whole knot. If you want a strong Airbnb, you got to renovate it. You got to make it look beautiful. You have to decorate it. You have to design it. You have to hang up artwork. I mean, you literally have to build out an entire house. Yeah. People need to feel at home. But the rewards could be very handsome. You know, you 5x your profits, things of that nature.
Interesting.
And I mean, Airbnb has become much more popular the last couple of years. We are not 5xing profits anymore, but we still target like 15 to 20%
Really?
returns, which I know is like near impossible to get on a long-term rental.
Yeah.
And
It's tough.
Yeah.
Interesting. So is everything you buy moving forward just going to be Airbnbs? Or are you interested in long terms? Are you looking for like more commercial stuff, or do you just want to do like duplexes for Airbnbs? What does it look like?
I mean, if we found a good multifamily building, like 10 to 20 units, we might be interested in something like that.
Something in
But
Stanford?
really, yeah, you might have to send me that deal. I don't know anything about that.
I will. Hope it's not in our contract yet.
But
trying
for
so
the
hard.
most part, we've got systems in place for the
Yeah.
Airbnbs. Dan handles most of the communication stuff, but the systems in place make it
Yeah,
pretty hands off.
it's good.
You turn over the units very quickly. You find problems with the units very quickly
Yeah.
before they become big, expensive nightmares. And I love that about it. It's usually a simple fix instead
Yeah.
of, somebody ruined your subfloor because they've had a leaking P-trap underneath the sink and, you got to replace cabinets.
You know what's
and
funny?
flooring
You
and-
say that. Shelby's cousin, my fiance's cousin, lives in one of our units in Meriden, and she's moving out on the 24th of March, thank God. And she just now told me that her sink has been leaking and there's mold in the bottom of her sink. And I was like, "Why didn't you explain this to me?" She goes, "Well, I didn't want to bother you." And I was like, So I was like, "So because you didn't want to pick up the phone,
Oh yeah.
it now cost me like $1,000."
It's going to be a way more expensive
Yeah.
repair than just going there and fixing a leaking
like,
P-trap.
like what?
I mean, I'll kind of break it down for anyone who's going back and forth between long-term rentals and short-term rentals. One, remember if you're in short-term rentals, and I would even say mid-term rentals, you're more in the hospitality business than real estate. But two, the benefit you get from that is you get to get rid of these people.
Yeah.
So we don't really have. I mean, we've obviously had big problem guests, but they're not still there,
Yeah.
and we could kick them out.
Yeah.
And if the police get called, the police are on our side. They're not on the guest side. We can kick them out at the drop of a dime.
Yeah.
So it gives you that freedom. And obviously, we don't like to kick people out. We do it very rarely.
Have you ever? Yeah. What's like a time you've had to do that?
I'll give you the best time.
Yeah. Tell me.
So literally, we had this. I had this guest, and sent out her checkout message at like 8 a.m. saying, "Hey, thank you for staying with me. Checkout time is 10 a.m. Blah 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 blah. Please follow the checkout instructions. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much." All right, and 10:30, 11 rolls around, and I'm about to walk into a wedding. And my cleaners text me and they say, "We can't open the door because there's one of those locks on the inside." Now, we
Yeah.
use all electronic locks.
Yeah.
So they thought that like somehow the door got closed after the guest left and that locks like slammed on it. And so like, we don't know how to get in, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, we'll figure it out. And then like 10 minutes later, they text me and they go, "We can actually see shoes in here. The guest hasn't checked out."
Yeah.
And I was like, so I messaged the guest, no response. I message Airbnb, I let them know what's going on. Now, I'm at a wedding in Cheshire. The Airbnb is an hour away in Norwich. And the reception was about 40 minutes from Cheshire and about an hour away from Norwich in Hartford.
Yeah.
Okay. So as soon as that reception was over, again, I was like, "Oh, congratulate. See ya." Immediately on my phone, immediately in my car, grabbed my wife. It was her friend's wedding too, so she was really mad at me.
Yeah.
She's like, "We're seriously going to drive out there?" Like, I'm in my best suit.
Yeah.
So I kind of look like a fat Pee Wee Herman. And I'm like driving out there and like literally we have another guest about to check in. And I get there and I'm like, I knock on the door. I'm in a suit. I text the lady. And she called me about 10 minutes before I got there.
Yeah.
And it was like 2:20.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, hey, I'm so sorry. I thought my reservation was till tomorrow." And I'm like, "Well, it's not. you have to leave. My cleaners have to get in there.
Yeah.
And literally, I showed up. I said, listen, I'm going to be there in 10 minutes. And she goes, can I just wait inside? And I said, no. I said, boop. And I changed the code. I made her wait outside for an Uber. And my cleaners had to rush and turn it over for the next guest. And Airbnb, actually, I will say, as long as you handle it properly, they were 100% on my side.
Yeah.
They were really helpful.
That's good.
So they did a good job. But I mean, you have like stuff like that, parties, things of that nature. We've had to kick people out. That's standard, you know.
Yeah. Interesting.
And again, as long as you notify Airbnb what you're doing, and we don't ask Airbnb, so we notify them.
Yeah.
Hey, we're headed to this property. The guest has violated this aspect of our house rules. We'll be removing them from the property.
Yeah.
We've already asked them to leave. They're refusing to leave.
And so you can't get into a situation where you get a squatter with Airbnb. How would that look?
No.
Yeah.
No, you just can't. You honestly can't. If you do midterm rentals, you can.
Yeah.
Because anything over 28 days, I believe, in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
But we rarely get any reservation over 28 days.
Yeah.
But that's one of the benefits to Airbnb. You get them in and out.
Mm-hmm.
You could easily do maintenance on your property. I mean, it's really one of the great things about it. And I do, while we're talking about making a short-term rentals easier, so that's one of the things. A lot of people think that running a short-term rental is way more work than a long-term rental.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say it's definitely more work, but it's not a lot more work if you do it right.
Yeah.
So the number one most important thing you need is a good cleaning crew. We have one of the best cleaning crews. Shout out to Made by Polly.
Yeah.
She takes care of everything. She lets us know about repairs. Sometimes her husband will even do the repairs for us.
Yeah.
She makes things very easy for us. And the other thing is having a good software to automate your messages, automate cleanings, things of that nature. And I'm going to blast the crowd. I can't wait to do this. This is going to be one of my happiest moments in the past 2 years. Do not get the Guesty software. It is garbage. It's supposed to be the best one for the professional host and for even the...
Yeah.
It is the worst garbage, horrible service, horrible performance. Do not get Guesty.
Why
Run.
is it so bad?
Run for the hills. You know Jeff. Jeff had to switch too because he got kicked off his app, and the service team, the customer support, technical support, couldn't figure out how to get him back on his app. He's trying to manage 50 properties or whatever, and he can't even get into the freaking app. And they're like, we don't know. Sorry. He's like, well, I need to be able to get into my account. How do I get into my account? And they're like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were the worst. And what I will say is Hostfully is the right one to use. So far, like Hostfully is awesome.
Yeah.
They have the best customer service ever. Literally, I could schedule a video chat with them right now and be on the phone with them in probably an hour.
Really?
Video chat. It's awesome customer service, which is the most important part. Plus, their software actually runs a lot better.
Does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. Every software has glitches, but their software, I haven't found a single glitch that it's caused an issue with me. Nothing. So it's beautiful. Hostfully, use Hostfully, not Guesty. Or you could use whatever. Just don't use Guesty. Guesty is horrible. I cannot stress that enough. Please don't use Guesty. I'm like the anti-Guesty.
You should make did you leave him a review on the App Store?
No, I haven't. No, not yet. I mean,
I'll leave him a review for you.
Yeah, I literally spent months fighting with these guys.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
No Guesty.
I feel better just saying I'm not with Guesty right now. But anyways, back to short-term rentals. I mean, it really is an awesome career path if you want to do it, and it is different than long-term rentals for sure. But it can be very lucrative if you do it right.
We thought about it. It's just like us. We're like same thing with the guest house. It's just it doesn't fit our model, and it's trying to learn a new avenue. It's not it's scary. It's just it's new. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's
sure.
and it's you can make a costly mistake. Now all of a sudden you're like, I should have made this a fucking long term. I know this. I know We know how to screen tenants. We're like, we do like cheap fixtures. We know when something breaks, what to do. Like we're on one of our tenants in Bristol. We're on her third fridge, and she doesn't understand that she's the problem. The fridge, I'm trying to be rude. The chances of her watching this are slim. If she just put less in her fridges wouldn't break.
Her fridges would close.
She stuffs it and
She
slams it.
stuffs it and then like fucking like hits it. She's like, why does my seal keep breaking? Now everything went stale because it didn't freeze.
Do you charge her for these fridges?
She doesn't think it's her fault. She doesn't understand that she can't close the fridge if it's full of shit. Like, in her head,
If it was an Airbnb,
yeah.
we would be charging the guests.
So that's like,
Yep.
yo, fast. It's like for us, like it's hard because it's like these tenants. She's also super liberal. She just doesn't understand that like she's the problem. Her cabinets are even like partially opened because of how much food is in there. Yeah. And bro, there were like these fucking flies that we've never even seen before. Like, I've never even heard. They weren't fruit flies. They were something different. I've never even heard of. We had to Google what type of bugs these were because they were, like, in, like, the cabinets for her food. She's like, I have this bug problem. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I looked at them. I was like, I told her, I was like, I don't know what these are. Like, these aren't fruit flies. These aren't gnats. Like, these are just, like, little. Turns out they're, like, some Indian fucking bug or something that only shows up if you hoard food. I was like, how the fuck they get to Bristol, Connecticut? I was confused.
These bugs literally smelled your food from another continent, lady.
And they only come for that type of shit. And I was like, no.
Well, honestly, it's kind of one of the benefits of with Airbnb, which it's there's no arguing whose fault it is if someone breaks. Like if someone was there for 2 days, and our fridge was broken. It would be like
2 together.
It would be like, okay, it's clearly you. I mean, obviously, wear and tear. We will never charge a guest for wear and tear. If our fridge, we actually did change out a fridge last year where the fridge just died while the guest was staying there.
Yeah,
that's obviously not their fault.
Yeah.
But if we come in, our cleaners come in the next day, and the fridge door is off the hinges on the floor, I got an idea who broke it.
Of course, yeah.
Like, it makes it a heck of a lot easier. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you use any software for your long-term rentals?
We use DoorLoop. So DoorLoop, have you heard of it?
I've heard of DoorLoop, yeah.
Do you like it?
I've never used DoorLoop. I'm an old school, Excel